Hari Om Yogis. Today we have a special video. I've been meaning to do this one for a long time. We made one a while back where we explain our lineage from Sri Shankara, his four main disciples, and which of those four disciples coming down all the way down to Swami Gurudeva Anand was the one that was related to us directly. We saw that it was Trotakacharya, the first one after Sri Shankara left his body, that stayed in the Joshi Mat in the north, in charge of the Atharva Veda, and from there coming down all the way to Swami Gurudeva Anand. And then I said we were going to do another video of the lineage from Sri Shankara, now from his guru, from Sri Shankara's guru and his guru's guru, and up as far back as we can take it. But while I was getting ready to make that one, I saw, or I remembered, a story that links Patanjali, the father of yoga, best known for his Yoga Sutras, that links him directly to Sri Shankara. And it's a very interesting story. I already did it in Spanish earlier today in between rides. I just got home. And so I wanted to do it in English for the yogis that have asked for it in English as well. Because that way we see, but we are also, Patanjali is also part, directly, as you will see in the story, from our lineage. Closer than even I remember, than you will even imagine. So let's get started with the story. Let's first do a moment of silence. With our back straight, our eyes closed, mouth closed, body still. Very well. So, as I said, I did the video in Spanish. I did it while I was working today in the cab, so I did it in between rides, in between passengers. So I broke it up in three parts. So if you're interested in Spanish, in the story in Spanish, you can see it here on the channel, as well as other stories and other little, things, both in Spanish and English. Whenever I make a video in Spanish or in English, sometimes I do it one first or the other. I always try to make it the other one, in the other language as well. So the story goes like this. I'm going to see if I do this in one part, but if not, I'll do it in two at least. I'll try not to make it in three like the one in Spanish. Story goes like this. So the humanity was decaying spiritually. It is said that there are different yugas, different eras, comprised of thousands of years each. Basically, spirituality grows to a peak, and then starts to decay, and spiritual values are being lost, and health and everything declines, and the harmony with the universe as well as the environment suffers as it's declining. So it was one of these periods where it was after a peak, and then humanity started to decline, losing spiritual values, not living as long, not eating properly, impurities in the mind and the body and the spirit, impurities in even in the speech. And so the yogis, seeing that this was happening, that society was again declining, coming into what they call one of the Kali Yugas, which is one of the where the decline is the heaviest, they approach a few rishis, a few yogis, a few saints, decided to get together and approach Vishnu. Vishnu, called as Narayana, one of his names, to ask him to please take a human birth on planet Earth in order to set things right again, or not allow them to decline as much, or to offer a way to uplift humanity and maybe save them from worse things to happen. It turns out that Narayana, Vishnu, he had already incarnated previously, in an avatar form called Davantari. Davantari, he has an interesting story, but that's for another day also. is one of the forms of Vishnu of Narayana, and he brought a lot of knowledge on Ayurveda and healing and herbs and these kind of things. Even on some temples, if you go, even here in New York, some temple, the Ganesh temple for sure, I know they have them, and other temples that I've been, they have Devantari. You see him with pots like of medicine and some herbs and things like this. So he's one of the manifestations of Narayana, and people to this day offer their respects, worship when they suffer from health. But so he had reincarnated long ago already. Things people have forgotten some of this knowledge. Some of the things were lost, and so again, a need arose for some higher power to descend upon the earth to quote unquote save mankind. So it is said that Narayana is in the ocean of milk. All of these things can be later be explained. And he sits or reclines on his couch. His couch is basically, or his seat is a snake, a snake that has 1,000 heads. And so Narayana, when he saw that the rishis, the saints, the yogis approached him, he knew that this was part of the natural cycle, the decline of spirituality and all these things, Kali Yoga coming in. So he knew that this was, but because of they approached him, and they saw that they recognized him and approached him, knowing that there was a higher power, divine grace, and all these things. He decided to do something about it, instead of just letting nature take its regular course. But this time, instead of him incarnating, he just took a look at his quote unquote couch, his seat, this 1,000-headed snake. And through this look, this snake with 1,000 heads understood what needed to be done. 1,000 heads symbolic for 1,000 meaning complete, to know things fully, know, all knowing also in a way. So just his seat alone is basically all knowing. Imagine just the one sitting on it. So Narayana told the yogis, the rishis, the saints, the seers, tell them, listen now, I hear you guys, I understand your concern. Do not worry, I'll make something happen. And so the rishis departed back to earth, and the snake, the 1,000-headed snake, decided to incarnate on planet Earth as Patanjali. So Patanjali is said to be this 1,000-headed snake, the seed of Lord Vishnu of Narayana. So now he's on Earth. He's incarnate. He's in a human body, human form, with all this knowledge, all this wisdom to offer, to save mankind, to show them the path. But he has some conditions. He says, I have a few conditions to teach. One is, I'm not just going to teach 1 or 2 or 3 people. I need 1,000 sincere students. There goes the number again, 1,000, complete, full. 1,000 sincere students. If there's less than 1,000, I am not going to teach. That's the first condition. Second condition, once I am teaching, once the teaching begins and the 1,000 students are there, no one should get up, no one should interrupt unless it's a question, answer, these kind of things. But no one should exit, get up from, while I am teaching, they should be there. And the third and last condition is, I will be sitting behind a curtain, behind a veil. The students will never see me. They will hear me, I will instruct them, I will answer their questions. So these are the 3 conditions. Somehow, some way, all 3 conditions were arranged. He has his 1,000 students. He's sitting behind the veil. They all have understood the conditions. No one is to see him. No one is to peek behind the curtain. No one is to get up. So they all took the Sankalpa. They were sincere students of different ages. He wanted 1,000 because he explained, planet Earth, things vary, things happen. Someone may not live long. Who knows if to what degree they can understand, to what degree they can pass the knowledge on. Some of it could be misinterpreted. Some people can pass away and never find anyone to pass it through. So in order to prevent this and to safeguard this sacred knowledge, a minimum of 1,000 sincere, willing, and willing to subject themselves to the training and to follow this specific condition. So they all took the vow, the Sankalpa. This is what we agree. We are sincere. We want to learn. He saw the sincerity. He said, let's go, and started the teaching. Now it is said that of course he's behind the curtain. No one is seeing him. None of the 1,000 students. But he brought different knowledges, different things to teach. He's mostly known for the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, but besides that, he also does mainly for, the yoga practices, the meditation, enlightenment for mind, spirit, and of course some body with the yoga. But specifically for the body and for the health of the body, he also wrote and brought some teachings on Ayurveda as well, Patanjali. And as well as there were impurities on even the way people were speaking. And because sound, those of us that practice mantra, yoga, meditation know, sound is holy, is sacred. And a variation of sound is language. So language is also considered holy, sacred. So when impurities start coming into the sound, into the way people speak, into the way people communicate, the men of wisdom understand this is not a good sign. So they need to remove the impurities. The way in the teaching that Patanjali brought to remove the impurities was proper Sanskrit grammar, to be practiced, to be thought, to be spoken in a proper grammatical way in the language of Sanskrit, to fix, to purify the speech, the proper sound, the proper pronunciation, the whole grammar of Sanskrit. So besides Sanskrit, the grammar, the Ayurveda, and the sutras, the Patanjali, the teachings of yoga, all these things, these were all things brought by Patanjali. And so that he starts teaching. And they're all sitting there, 1,000 students, sincere. And it is said that each of those 1,000 students felt, wow, it feels like he's teaching to me personally, to me individually, answering my questions when I ask fully. Sometimes even before I ask the question, as they are arising in my mind, he's talking about these things. Those of us who have lived with a guru, we understand these things. We're sitting there, listening to a lecture, we may have questions, a doubt, or whatever, an issue, a problem, and he's talking on these things. So these 1,000 students were having the same experience. But among the students, of course, there's different people, different ages, a lot of young people, and some even considered kids. One of these young kids, a prodigy, a spiritual prodigy, that's why he was accepted. He started to feel the desire to go to the bathroom. But he remembers his sankalpa, his intention, and he says, no, we decided that while he's teaching, no one is to leave here, and the teaching continues. It reminds me, a little sidetrack, I was teaching once, and this will happen. Kids would I'm teaching martial arts in one of the schools, and when kids get a little tired, they say, oh, Mr. Felix, can I go to the bathroom? And they started using this trick of going to the bathroom or going to drink water. And I said, before you come to the gym, go drink water, go to the bathroom, so that when the class starts, I'm also putting like the similar conditions. No one should stop. While I'm teaching, you shouldn't be taking breaks to the bathroom to drink water. And I remember, but at the same time, I'm teaching another kids, second graders, third graders. Sometimes they decide. And I remember this kid Oh, Mr. Felix, can we go to drink water? I said, fine, go. And I see 2 or 3 kids stay there, and I see one kid. I said, aren't you thirsty? Because you always go. And he stands straight with his back to me. He said, yes, I'm thirsty, sir, but I know there's only 15 minutes left, and I know you told us that trying to stay here while you're teaching and not go drink water. And just talking about it and seeing this second grade, third grade, it made me so happy and so proud. Even to this moment, it brings tears to my of happiness to see that he was so firm in his determination to follow the instructions of his teacher, in this case me, and it made me so proud of him and of myself as well. Like, wow, this student, he is able to temporarily suppress this need to drink water or go to the restroom because he knows it's only 10 more minutes, 15 more minutes. I'm going to stick it through and stick to my word and try to do what I know is right. So this student was like this. He knows he has the need to go to the restroom, but he said no. We agreed. We took the sankalpa, the determination, the vow, not to look behind the curtain, we are all here. I'm not going to break the rule. But time is passing. Teaching is going. He's focusing, but not every once in a while, oh man, I need to go. Eventually, he says, man, but there's 1,000 students here. I really, really need to go. And the teacher is behind a curtain. So I cannot see him, he cannot see me. If I exit real quietly, go use the restroom and come back, nothing is gonna happen. And so, seeing that he could no longer hold it, he did this. He sneaked out. Teaching continued. There's 999 students, but this is the issue. When the group energy is in one way, everyone taking one determination to follow certain rules, certain norms, all going together, one broke the rule, the vow. Something happens in the group dynamic. Other people also start thinking, it's just one more. Now this would be 2. But this other student that started thinking, he wasn't thinking so much. His issue wasn't so much of going to the restroom or not. He had a curiosity. What is the teacher doing behind the curtain? And what does he even look like? What if I just took a real peek? Maybe he's distracted. Maybe he's reading something. And we think that he's teaching all this. He doesn't know. He's amazed by all this knowledge and all this wisdom. He's like, maybe he's reading something. If I peek, maybe he will be distracted doing something. Who knows what he's doing back there? And he won't see me, but I will be able to look at him and see what he's doing, and then I'll come back to my seat. So he decided to go and peek behind the curtain real quick. But the moment he pulled the curtain, it is said, according to legend, that all the 999 students burst into flames and just basically disintegrate into ashes. And now Patanjali, whose teaching was, very advanced already to these 1,000 students, he feels all this energy, all this time, all this effort is wasted. And at that moment, he's sad, he's thinking what is going to happen, what I'm going to have to do. In walks that one student that had gone to the bathroom into this horrible scene. All of a sudden, you just see just piles of ashes where before there were 999 students. He's now the 1,000 students that comes back. And Patanjali, at least, he's a little upset, but at the same time, he's happy. Oh, there's hope, because this person has been studying and he knows the material. Maybe there's hope. He wanted 1,000 at least, but what happened? At least now I have one. The student asked for apologies and explained the situation. He couldn't hold that he tried. The Guru Patanjali, being compassionate and understanding that he was a young boy, said, okay, let's continue with the teaching, and continue with the teaching, and completed the teaching with this one student. But after completing the teaching, Patanjali then explained to the boy something serious happened, which is you broke the vow. You broke the sankalpa, the promise that we all had agreed. And this, when you break a vow, an instruction from the guru, it has serious consequences. We could go into that, but I don't want to make this too long. Different ways the gurus can handle karma, take it upon themselves, divert it, whatever, do different things. Allow simply the law of karma to flow and the student to learn whatever he or she needs to learn, or do what Patanjali did in this case. He says, "I am going to have to punish you for breaking your vow." There are advantages when the guru is harsh on you, hits you, hits your ego or punishes you or is harsh. He is burning karma, is one. But because he is the one he's the one becoming the karma himself. Now, basically, that appeases the law of karma. And okay, guru's handling it, punishment is being administered. No need for the law to come in. He is the law. And he's above the law in a way, the guru, and he knows how to manage all these things. But besides this, because he's the one administering the karma, in this case, he's going to be a curse. He's going to curse his student. I'm going to explain in a moment. Because he's the one doing it, he also knows the way out. If it's just nature, if it's just the law itself, who knows in one way, in what kind of problem, in what kind of suffering, in what kind of disease, in what kind of inconveniences and things could happen that you may be further entangled in who knows how many lifetimes in these kind of karmas. But if it's the guru himself, he knows how far to go, what to do, how to help you out, because he's the one administering the punishment. So he has some advantages. And so in a way, it's a merciful way, rather than let your own karma and your own actions take you and you suffer the consequences on your own, and who knows what life is going to do to you. But if it's me doing it, I know what I'm doing, I know where to hit, when is enough, how to help you out, because it's my hand, you see. So Patanjali decides, I'm going to curse you. This is going to be your karma for breaking your promise. The curse is you are going to become a ghost, and not just a ghost, almost like a monster. And you're going to be attached to this tree, this area of this tree, but I'm also going to give you the way out. The way out for you to regain your human form and to be free of this ghost, this monster form that you will be taken because of this curse, is you have to pass on this knowledge. You have to find a worthy student to pass the knowledge to. If you find at least one, that is enough to free you, and you'll be forgiven for your sin, for your transgression of breaking your, and you will regain your human form, and that's it. You will burn your karma. But because it's such a profound teaching, it cannot just be passed to anyone. So he said, you will be a ghost, quote unquote monster, whatever. You will, whoever you see that has some potential that passes around here, because you will not be able to leave this area. You will just be by this tree. And you see anyone with potential, you will stop them. You will ask them this question. It was a question about an irregularity in grammar, in Sanskrit grammar. If they answered this question correctly, that proves that they are worthy students to be taught, and then you can proceed teaching. But if they do not answer the question correctly, then you eat them. Imagine you have all this knowledge, all this wisdom of yoga, of Ayurveda, of wisdom, of the proper diet, the proper taking care of the body, and you have to do this horrible thing because now you're a ghost, a quote unquote monster, a hideous creature, scary. You eat people. Forget about being vegetarian, forget about vegan, forget about maybe drink milk, maybe I have some eggs. Do I need to eat chicken or whatever? You eat people. So this is a horrible for someone that has this level of wisdom, and actually it is said that in the scriptures that if someone has accumulated, gathered, has been blessed to have a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom, and they do not share it and they pass it forward, they actually become. I think the proper term is called Brahma Raksha. Raksha is like a ghost, it's like a knowledgeable ghost, but they quote unquote eat people. So the way out or the way to avoid this is to pass the knowledge. That's why the gurus, the men of wisdom, always look for people to pass the knowledge, because it is said it is a sin to not pass. You have been blessed. Someone has been compassionate, patient to instruct you, to help you to grow. And now you have all this knowledge, all this wisdom. Maybe you're lazy. Maybe you feel like you are super worthy and nobody is worthy and you don't want to teach anyone. And so you just take this knowledge with you. You never pass it on. You never help anyone with it. Uh, by the way, it's one of the reasons I'm making this video. I don't want to be one of these guys, these ghosts, these astral beings that are having this hard time because they didn't pass them this knowledge. So he said the way out is that if they answer correctly, you teach them. That will liberate you. You will regain your human form and you can go. And Patanjali leaves. He came to do what he was to do, to pass on this knowledge. He tried to instruct 1,000 people. He could only, in the end, instruct only one, and he leaves. Now, this one disciple, boy, is now transformed because of the curse of his guru and because of his transgression of breaking his promise into this ghost, this hideous being, this man-eating creature. And he's stopping whoever passes by, asking this question on this irregularity of grammar, of the Sanskrit grammar, and people are not answering correctly. He's gobbling them up. 10 years, 20 years, 100 years, hundreds of years. Lifetimes. Lifetimes in human years, in a human body, human form, but for him it's just one lifetime. It's just hundreds of years. And no one is answering properly. Now, Adishesha is the name of the snake of 1,000 heads, which is the incarnation of Patanjali. He understands, he sees, okay, hundreds of years are passing, no one is answering this question properly. Two issues are happening here. One is the purpose of him incarnating in a physical body is to spread this knowledge and so that this knowledge can get out into the world and people can be benefit from it. And that's one. And that's not happening because now he's just stuck with this one person. And two, enough time has passed. This person has burned enough karma where, so now, further compassion from the guru. He is the guru that taught you, but no one is there to learn, to help you free his students, no one is showing themselves worthy so that the student can be freed, pass the knowledge, and allow the world to know it. So Adishesha, also Patanjali, the head of 1,000, the seed of Vishnu, of Narayana, takes another birth. First as the guru of Patanjali, and now he takes another birth under this one student that he taught to become his disciple out of his compassion and mercy. And to complete the work, because the work was incomplete. If the world doesn't have this knowledge yet, what good is it that I came and only one person has it? And so, to complete the work and to free his disciple, he comes now, takes another birth, passes by as a young boy. This monster, this ghost stops him, asks the question, and of course, he answers correctly. And now, finally, after hundreds of years, who knows how many lifetimes in human years, he has found a worthy disciple, someone that he can teach, and once his teaching is complete, oh, I'm going to be free. So he has this guy. He has the guy that answered the question. He's not going to let him go anywhere. We're going to go on top of this tree, where he's trapped in this area, and we're gonna learn. And we're gonna learn the way that I learned, the way that my master taught me, which is, by the way, the disciple is also his master because he's another incarnation of his master. Um, which is you sit here, and as long as I'm teaching, you do not stop, you do not go anywhere, even though him as a disciple couldn't hold it and had to go. And until I'm done, you stay. But there's no pen, there's no paper, there's what am I gonna write? He's not gonna let him go. Let me go get something to write. No, you're here after hundreds of years. You answer the question. Somehow we're gonna do this. So it is said, according to legend, from the dry leaves of the tree itself that he was trapped under, using his nail, and somehow with his blood, cutting himself with blood and his nail, writing on these dry leaves from this tree for 7 days, 7 nights, mostly night, because him being a quote unquote ghost, that's when his activity is at his peak. He's writing down for 7 days, 7 nights all the teachings non-stop. As long as teaching is going, he's going. Any questions, whatever, he's writing. Finally, after a whole week of this arduous work, he regains his human form, and he goes away somewhere. And now this student, which remember is also Patanjali, is just a second incarnation, now has this bundle of dry leaves in a cloth. He's going on to the north, to the Himalayas area, to the area of Badrinath. He stops by a lake somewhere, and he just decides to rest and take a little nap. But what happens? He has these dry leaves, he's taking a nap, and a goat, of all things, comes by. And we know what goats do with leaves. And yes, the guy's napping. This sacred, holy knowledge is in these dry leaves, written in blood with his nail, painstakingly so, for for a whole week. And now this goat comes along while he's resting, napping, and starts eating at these leaves. And it is said that the goats ate 10%, 15%, 20%. It ate half of all of this knowledge. The guy woke up, but he couldn't do anything. Half of it was gone, eaten by the goat. His master, now in human form, who knows where. And he wraps it up, whatever's left, the other half, and goes on. And it is said that this young man took sannyas, and he became Govindapada, which is the guru of Sri Adi Shankara. So if we think about it, Sri Adi Shankara's guru is actually Patanjali. See how close he is to our lineage? Govindapada is Sri Adi Shankara's guru. And those of us that are familiar with the story know there's two versions. One, that he went to Gaudapada. Gaudapada now is the guru of Govindapada. Who's Govindapada's guru? The little kid that went to the bathroom, that became a ghost. He's the one that taught Govindapada all this knowledge of yoga. So he, according to one of version, is that Sri Adi Shankara went to Gaudapada looking for a guru. He says, no, go to my disciple. The disciple being the second incarnation of Adishesha, of the thousand-headed snake of Patanjali. Go to my disciple, he will teach you. And Govindapada is waiting. He understands that he's waiting for two people, because remember, he is Adishesha, he's the thousand-headed snake, the seed of Lord of Vishnu or Narayana, and his mission is to spread this knowledge, because that's what the saints, the rishis, the yogis asked and requested. This is what is needed in order to help guide mankind, and that the whole Kali Yoga doesn't take over and people are not completely lost. So he's waiting for two particular yogis. One is Sri Adi Shankara, which is going to be his disciple. He's going to pass this knowledge to him, this knowledge directly from Patanjali. Patanjali taught Gaudapada. Gaudapada taught Govindapada. And remember, Govindapada is also Patanjali, just in a second incarnation. And he passed it on to Sri Adi Shankara. You see the beauty and the link so close to Patanjali and Sri Adi Shankara. It's beautiful. So besides Sri Adi Shankara, he also wants to pass it on to somebody else, to another yogi called Vedavyasa. Vedavyasa is the author of the Vedas, or the one that compiled the Vedas, and the one that wrote the Mahabharata and many other sacred scriptures. He has a lot of wonderful stories. Maybe we go into that for another day. So he's waiting for both of them to pass on this knowledge to both. Both what is written as well as whatever he remembers from the 50% that was lost. And so that is the story of how Patanjali is so close, so part of our lineage. As we went from Sri Adi Shankara down, but as we see his guru, and actually it is said that when he was going around the cave and praising his guru, you are the all-knowing, one of the ways in which Sri Adi Shankara praised his guru was, you are an incarnation of Adishesha. You are an incarnation of the 1,000-headed serpent, the seat of Narayana, the all-knowing being. So Sri Adi Shankara recognized who he was. An incarnation of Patanjali, an incarnation of Adishesha. And that is how close the link is between Patanjali and Sri Adi Shankara and our spiritual lineage. So both Sri Adi Shankara as well as Vedavyasa got these teachings, and they helped to spread it, to keep things. And we all know the great work that Sri Adi Shankara did in order to debate and all these things, and to establish schools and monasteries and clear the air and all these things, so that society, humanity didn't further decay spiritually. And these traditions, these teachings continue to this day. So when we say mantra, yoga, meditation, we already know mantra. Yoga is yoga directly from Patanjali. Patanjali himself was the teacher of Sri Adi Shankara's guru, and also was of Guru's guru, and also was incarnated again as the guru of Sri Adi Shankara to free his other disciple. So I'm going to leave it at that. There's a lot of symbolism and things that we can draw from the guy sitting behind the curtain, from Patanjali sitting behind the curtain, and the symbolism of the karma and the promises and all of these things. But I don't want to make this video any longer, and maybe another time. There are already, the one from the version that I did in Spanish, there are already people asking for can you do one on the 8 steps of Patanjali and these kind of things? We'll see. I don't know. I wanted to do the one going up. There are a lot of stories of Vedavyasa and other saints and people going up from Sri Adi Shankara, his guru's guru, and all the way up. How that lineage go all the way to the Supreme Being itself. Interesting in itself. But people are requesting some of these things. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. For now, that is the story of the day. Patanjali and Sri Adi Shankara. As you can see, we are very closely aligned and very much part of our teaching. So if that doesn't serve you as inspiration to study up a little bit more on Patanjali, I don't know what else will. And remember, now that you have this knowledge, if you feel it can help someone, it can inspire someone, it can motivate someone, it can guide someone, pass it on. You do not want to become a Brahma Raksha, a hideous ghost, spiritual astral being, because you had knowledge and didn't pass it forward. So pass it forward to anyone that you feel can help. And any requests on any other stories or whatever, feel free to ask. Any mistakes I may have made with the name. Sometimes I mixed up Gaudapada and Govindapada. Like, which one was Sri Shankara's guru? I'm pretty sure it's Govindapada, and Gaudapada was his guru's guru. Anyway, let's finish it there. Hariom yogis. Made it in one part. Better than 3 parts, 3 videos, just one video. Okay, Hariom.